My name is Whitney Kent. I was a Lightning Boat Grant recipient, and we are going to go through how to get your Lightning out of the covers, mast up, without embarrassing yourself like I did. I'm going to bring in my friend Tony Orlebeck to help me with the process. All right, Tony and I are going to take the mast off the boat and set it down on the ground just far enough away that we can still walk around, and with the butt as close to the front of the trailer wheel as we can get it.
So we're going to take the strap off of this, the front strap off. It's under a lot of tension, so just be a little careful you don't snap your fingers when you take it off. And it just loosens up.
All right, we have a variety of types of Lightning covers. So some are gonna have snaps like this, and some are gonna have bungees that go right to the trailer. But I'm gonna undo them on this side, and then Tony's gonna pull them through. If you roll your cover neatly when you take it off, it makes it a lot easier when you put it back on. Okay, so we're gonna take the back strap off. So on this setup, the back strap was underneath the top cover and underneath the boom. So if your boom is sitting on the deck like this, you have your class legal sponge and your class legal throwable cushion that the boom can sit on. You wanna make sure the strap stays under the boom so that you don't bend the boom or crush the deck, because the straps get really tight. If you wanna put the strap over the top of the top cover, you need to set the boom up so that it's hanging underneath the deck. So it'll go under here and then underneath the deck right in front of the center board. So there's a few ways to do it, but in this setup, the boom is gonna create a little bit of a tent so that water runs off the cover. All right, Tony's gonna loosen up the main sheet so that he can get the padding out from under the boom. And since we have to go sailing with the throwable cushion and the sponge, make sure when you take them out from under the boom that you set them somewhere in the boat so that you don't forget them on land.
Before we take the bottom cover off, I'm going to unclip the straps holding it in place. And at some point, Whitney will sit on the bow.
All right, so the beauty of what we're about to show you is how to get the covers off with 3 people, which is incidentally the same amount of people you need to go sailing. So I'm gonna sit on the bow, which is the most difficult part of the job. And then these 2 handsome gentlemen are going to take the cover off. So we found this guy in the dark shirt wandering the boat park. He's gonna lift up the transom while Tony works the cover forward. So watch how they work together to get it off. So he kind of has to walk back and forth to work the cover back, making sure it doesn't get snagged on the bunks. All right, so now I'm gonna sit on the transom while these 2 get the cover off the bow, and it is very helpful in the whole process to have one person sitting on the opposite end, so that's an important part of the process. All right, now Bill's gonna sit on the trailer and use his knees, his thighs to lift the boat up off the trailer while Tony pulls the cover off the bunks. All right, so as you pull it out from under the boat, you want to make sure that the part on the ground is the part that's normally up towards the sky. So keep the outside of the cover on the ground so you don't get dirt inside the cover. And then to start our roll, we're going to start by folding it in half the long way, hot dog style, whatever. And then we'll do it one more time, and then we'll start to roll it up from one end or both ends, doesn't matter. You just want to end up with a smallish package. All right, we're going to take the mast cover off. Again, just like the covers on the boats, all of them are a little different. Some have snaps here, so you want to undo that right away. I'm just going to unzip this all the way to the butt of the mast. And then take the mast out of the bag. They're usually a pretty tight fit, so. Whew. All right, and then we're gonna stretch this out. And we'll roll it up just like we did with the top covers and bottom covers. Make it one big pile. All right, now we're going outside to put the mast up. Tony just kind of straightened things out, but before we actually put it up, we'll check that nothing is tangled. Okay, so we're gonna make sure before we put the mast up that everything is untangled. One important step is to make sure the backstay is behind the spreaders and not through them, so that you don't have to deal with that once the mast is up. And then you can shrouds through the spreaders a little bit. That'll make it easier to hook up as well. So we're gonna pick the mast up and walk it a little closer to the boat and a little closer to where the partners are. And then Tony is going to put his foot on the butt while I walk the mast up. So you can just go hand over hand to get the mast until it's vertical. All right. Double check on the tangled. Okay, so you're gonna have one person stay on the ground holding the mast and then somebody else hop up on the deck. We're gonna use our throwable cushion as a place to set the mast as we're putting it up. And then once you're on the deck, you wanna take a look down at the mast step and make sure it's free of all of the lines and stuff that are around there. There's nothing in the way, and then just be aware of what type of mast step you have. Some are open like this one, some have a couple of bolts involved. So, all right, so we're gonna get the mast up on the deck. All right, so we've got one person on the deck, gonna guide the mast down. The people holding the butt can help steer the bottom. Ready? 1, 2, 3. You'll kind of hear a satisfying clunk as it hits the bottom of the step.
All right, I'm gonna hook up the head stay. Make sure when you hook it up, you don't hook it on the pin right here for the tack, that one, and you don't tie it to this, which is the jib Cunningham. And usually you go from the front in so that when your spin sheets go around, they don't hook on the speed ring.
While he's hooking up the forestay, I'm gonna make sure I keep hanging on to the mast until we know that the pin is in and the split ring is all the way on. All right, so now once it's attached, that's when we can let the mast lean back on the forestay. So we're gonna put the mast blocks in at the partners. Make sure you don't have anything stuck in there. Slide one side on, and then we'll do the other side. There we go. Can move around. Okay, so we're gonna attach the shrouds. Tony's gonna put the upper shroud on. Goes on that one. The upper shroud goes on the forward chain plate, and the pins are always gonna go from the outside in. Because I'm pulling the mast forward, that's gonna make it a little bit easier for him to attach that shroud. Once the pin is in, you can let go of the mast while he's putting the split ring in, but getting the first shroud on is easy because there's no tension on the rig. You wanna keep the upper shrouds at the class maximum of 250 pounds. And so that's gonna be a little bit too much tension to just pull down by hand. One way you could do this is by taking the same amount of turns off every time, but to eliminate variables, you might wanna do it on the same shroud every time, and you might count incorrectly and then you're starting from scratch. So you'll see a variety of ways that people accomplish getting this shroud attached, but we're gonna use this shroud puller to get this happening. It's very easy, safe for you and the equipment. So you get it under the gunnel like that, have somebody pull down. I have my pin ready to go, and once the holes line up, a little more, pop the pin in. All right, and then you can take the tension off of the puller, and then again, I did the pin from the outside in, and we'll put the split ring on, and your upper shrouds are good to go. So we have two sets of shrouds. We have our uppers on the forward chain plates. Now we're going to attach the lowers on the aft chain plates. Usually when you're transporting the mast, you put them through this eye for the spinnaker pull, so I'm just gonna pull those out. Tony's gonna get the pins ready to go. And then to make this a little bit easier, what we're gonna do is push the mast back in the partners. All right, so I'm gonna push the mast back right in the middle of the mast here. And that should make it easy for Tony to get the pin in. Okay. Same thing on the other side. I'm gonna push the mast aft and slightly towards him. Okay, pushing the mast back and slightly toward him. Shroud goes slack, easier to attach. And there's a lot less load in general on these lowers.
Okay, and the last thing we do is put the backstay on.
So the final thing we're gonna do here to get the boat ready to go sailing is push the spreader tips up to make sure they're level. So you'll have somebody looking for you, poke them up. Okay, when you're ready to take the mast down, you're basically gonna do everything in reverse. So you'll go backstay off, boom off, lower shrouds off, then your cap shrouds off, and then once you're ready to actually physically take the mast down, you'll take the forestay off. And one thing that's important is put the boat back at base or however you're used to setting it up, and then try not to mess with any of the settings while you're taking everything apart. All right, thank you for watching. Hopefully this helps you set up your boat. Congratulations on having your Lightning Boat Grant for the summer, and we hope you have a lot of fun within the class.